Hello and welcome to REGO-FIX Tech Chat. My name is David McHenry. I am the Engineering and Technical Manager here at REGO-FIX USA. Today, let's discuss how to get coolant through my Swiss tooling. Now, many of the machines in the market today already offer this option, but many don't, or you don't have the option for the particular tool block you have in your machine. So, how do you handle coolant? In most machines, it's relatively easy. You have your standard machine block, you have your coolant nozzle, and you just direct it towards the cutting tool. But what if I want to have coolant through because my operation is a drill or I'm pocket milling and I need to make sure I get the chips evacuated or cool the tool properly? What are my options? If I have plenty of room on my tool block and have easy access to the back of the tool holder, it makes it really easy to plumb the coolant in. Just take my tool holder, put it through my tool block, tighten it in location, and I have access to the back. I can use one of our special fittings that will adapt from the metric thread inside the tool holder to an NPT 1/8 or 1/4 for your cooling application. That's if I have access to the back. But what happens if my tool holder is too short to project through the block? In this case, I could put this one in and I may not have access to the back of that tool holder. Well, what are my options? As we've shown in other videos, the reCool system is made to take a non-coolant through tool and make it coolant through. But how does it work on a Swiss machine? Well, the first thing you have to do is make sure that you have a stop screw or a plug in the back of your straight shank holder. That way the coolant, when induced into the collet cavity, doesn't try to come out the backside. That's really simple. All REGO-FIX tool holders already come with a backup screw in there. Just remove that screw, put a little Loctite on it, put it back in, you have your seal. Really simple for the backside. But on the front side, what do I have to do? Well, on all Swiss machines, you normally have access to the nut area. Because you're trying to keep a nice short projection, you don't want to have something that takes up a lot of space in the front or causes you to lengthen your projection, eliminating some of your Z-axis movement in that machine. So how's the reCool work? Well, the reCool system itself replaces the standard nut that's on the extension or on the cylindrical holder. It's made to have the same length profile, so you don't have much issue there with losing anything, and it has the inlet port on the side of it. What's the assembly look like now? So I'm going to take my reCool unit, I'm going to take my ER16 sealing disc, I'm going to snap that in, I'm going to take my collet, snap it in, I'm going to thread the reCool onto the nose of my Swiss extension. And then all I have to do really is connect my lines. Now I'm not going to tighten this all the way up on video just to give you an idea. Now I have two fittings. One goes into the reCool unit. One goes into my Swiss machine coolant block. I can now take my pre-cut hose and simply press these into position. All I have to do now is take my coolant through cutting tool and insert it into my reCool assembled unit. Now it's pretty easy. Slide that in. Now all reCool units have the MX style thread for the Swiss style statics. So I can take my wrench and put it on, or you can also use the extender or the extension piece for the wrench. It goes over top of the cutting tool, moving your hand and the wrench away from the cutting flutes and other sharp tools that are inside your tool fixture. One thing to keep in mind when talking about the reCool system is there are some requirements you have to keep in mind. One of which, you need to use standard collets, not metallic sealed. We want the coolant to pass through the slots, so we don't want to have a metallic sealed collet. You also need to know that you have a couple different options for hoses or coolant pressure options that you can operate with. The standard hose is a nylon hose and comes with a spring sheath to protect it from chips and debris. Now this is good for about 700 psi. What about applications where I want to go higher? Well, that's where the braided lines come in. These can simply replace the nylon hose and the fittings, and these are good for 1500 psi. We've shown how to use the reCool unit for your applications where you can get to the front of it. But what about units or tooling where you already have coolant through? Your Swiss block provides it, and all you have to do is control it. Now, you have a few options on that. So let's go ahead and put our straight shank tool holder into our fixture, and let's talk about what our options are here. Obviously, we have metallic sealed collets. These are very, very simple. The collet itself acts as the sealing agent, pushing the coolant through your cutting tool. All you need here is your regular nut and the metallic sealed collet, and you are good to go. No extra requirements required for that. But what if I have a size that I don't offer a metallic sealed collet for and it's just not available? Well, as always, just like we use for the reCool system, you can use the ER sealing disc system for ER11 up through ER50. In this case, it's ER16. It simply snaps into the front of a coolant nut. Use your standard ER16 collet and assemble that right onto my tool holder in my Swiss machine. What if I'm doing end milling and I want to evacuate the chips from a pocket that I'm making? Well, gravity does a pretty good job of that inside of a Swiss machine, but it doesn't do a perfect job. So how can I flush the chips out? You actually now have two options for that. The first is pretty simple. We use our standard coolant nut and we use a coolant flush disc. Again, the sealing system and the coolant flush disc have been talked about in other videos. The link for those will be down below. I mentioned you have two options for flushing chips away. The first being the coolant flush disc. Well, what is the second? Well, the second is a new offering. It's called the cool bore collet. These collets are made from metallic sealed collets, and they have a series of holes through the face of them to shoot coolant down along the shank of your cutting tool, evacuating the chips. The CB or cool bore collets are available in ER16 up through ER32. If you have any questions at all about how to get coolant through your Swiss type tooling or your Swiss machine, please feel free to reach out to your REGO-FIX technical team. We are here to answer questions for you. My name is David McHenry. Thank you for watching.